Hey out there, Slotcar land. How's everybody doing this week? Hope everybody's had a good 2 weeks and hope everybody's doing fine this first weekend of October. It's a freaking fall already. I can't believe it. I mean, Slotcar season's on full tilt though, so that's pretty good there. Got a couple of things before we get started. You may notice we're back on the cell phone. We've got an issue with our computer tower. Somebody went to a website they weren't supposed to, and now there's a virus on our computer, and we can't go onto the internet, and so I can't use the GoPro right now. So we're going to have to go back to the phone for a little bit. Hopefully we'll get that ironed out. We'll get that fixed as soon as we possibly can. Money's kind of tight right now, so hopefully everything will work out. So the other thing, been noticing a lot of crossover with diecast and slot cars. I've seen a lot of people doing diecast crossovers using diecast bodies on chassis and making some really cool slot cars. And noticed a lot of people who are in slot cars on slot car pages are also in a lot of the diecast like pages on Facebook. So I've been kind of milling it around. I've been talking to a couple of people about it. And we're thinking about adding diecast to the mix here on Slot Car Crazy. It won't change any of the slot car videos. We'll still be doing videos every other week, just like we are now. So we'll still have the same amount of slot car content. We're just toying with on the off weekends talking diecast, and then doing maybe some crossovers where, like we did with this car here. Turning this Hot Wheel into a slot car. We may be doing some of that. I want to do some customs. I've done some customs I've done some of my own customs on some diecast. This is a Matchbox R8 Audi that I've done. Repainted it. You can even see I've done some interior paint to it. Added the wing to it. So maybe we'll talk and do some customs and do some wheel swaps and stuff like that. And we'll talk, we'll show our hauls and talk diecast. If you look in this room, in my hobby room here, there's diecast everywhere. I've got, stuff over here, stuff right there, my NASCAR diecast over here on the wall. As you can see, my Richard Petty collection. And then, of course, over here is my Hot Wheels corner, where all my Hot Wheels are. So, as you guys can see, I've got quite the sizable Hot Wheel collection. So, I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about on the off weekends from Slot Cars, we talk diecast. New releases, comparing castings, doing some customs, maybe having a combined show where we take a diecast and turn it into a slot car, show us some hunts and some hauls and some searching for some cars and stuff. So let me know what you think. Leave a comment on this video whether you guys want to see some diecast. It's not going to change any of the slot car stuff. We'll still be doing just as much slot car. It's just that we're going to be doing the same amount of diecast. So let me know. So let's get on with what we're going to talk about today. And what we're talking about today is a little restoration work. We're talking about replacing posts, window posts, and screw posts on T-Jet chassis today. And there is several I have done, like this one here. As you can see, this post has been fixed and replaced on there. And then there's a couple other things. So let's just get started. First thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about posts. And the first thing I want to talk about, and let me get the camera set here. I'll bring it down here. My old broken trusty science thing holder here. First thing we're going to talk about is not necessarily completely replacing a post, but fixing a post that maybe not quite gone, kind of like this one. This one I'm going to show you us replacing a post on this. As you can see, it's pretty cracked. It's missing one whole side. And then back here, this one's all split too. But if you look at this one right here, and I don't know if the camera will be able to show it, but there is a hairline crack on that post. I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up or not. But what you can do with that is you don't have to replace this whole post. This whole post is just slightly cracked. And what you can do is you can go down to your local hobby shop or your local Hobbytown USA, anybody that sells plastic styrene tubing or whatever. I'm not sure what the size is. I don't have any of that here right now, so I can't show you that. But take the body with you, go down and size up your tubing, and you want one that'll just fit over the post. So just big enough to slide over it and slide it down. Basically, put your post down inside the body, mark where you need to cut it, and then glue the outside of your post and just slip that sleeve of tubing over the post. So basically you're sleeving this post to help give it some rigidity, so that crack isn't going to get any worse, and this post isn't going to crack anymore. The tubing around the outside will give it more strength, and it'll keep it from cracking. Another thing you can do, if the post is perfectly fine, it's not cracked or anything, or isn't cracking, but it's gotten stripped on the inside of it, something you can do is take a little of your super glue and just pour some super glue down inside of here. This one's okay. I've actually done this to this one. And then take your screw, after you put your super glue in there, and just screw the screw down into the post, and then let it sit for a few days. Set it off to the side, let that dry. When it dries, take your screwdriver and be really careful and break the super glue away from the screw and just screw this out. And you're going to have a rethreaded post. You might be able to also use hot glue. I haven't tried that yet. That's something maybe down the road we'll look into. I don't have a post to be able to do this with right now. But that might even make it even stronger a little bit. Might make the threads a little better. But once you do this and then you put it back on the chassis, make sure you don't really tighten this screw back down onto the chassis, or you're going to start breaking up the threading in there again. So that's one thing you can do if you have a post that needs to be fixed, but doesn't necessarily need to be completely replaced. So as you can see, like this one, like I showed a minute ago, this one is broke. So what you're going to need to do, and the tubing we're using for the posts is a 1/8. Let's see if we can pick is a 1/8 tubing. This is from Evergreen scale models. Plastic styrene tubing. And this is a perfect size for your Chi-Jet post. It's slightly small, which is good, because then when you thread your screw in there, there's enough. As you can see, it's going in, but it's not cracking the tubing at all. It's slightly small enough just to make some threading in there for when you do put your screw in there. You just got to be really careful and go slow so you don't end up cracking. You don't end up cracking that post. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one. We're going to use the cutting wheel on the Dremel here. Now it's kind of hard. Another thing you can use is a hobby saw, which would make it even a little easier, because as you can see, this is the smallest cutting wheel that that Dremel makes, as far as I know. I know they go bigger, but I don't think they go any smaller than this. And as you can see, it's you're kind of up against the fender wells a little bit here. So a hobby saw would probably work even better. So let me put the camera on pause. Let me grab my hobby saw. Okay, I'm back. So as you can see with the hobby saw, you can actually get down in there in between the fender well and everything, and you're not going to wreck your fender wells or anything with the cutting wheel. Try to get it as straight as you possibly can. And then you can take your Dremel. Let's see if I can find my... That's my big one. Where's the little one? Take one of your little sanding wheels, because these can get right down in there and not really do anything. And make sure you get this all nice and straight, flat, so when you glue the new tubing on, you're not going to have a tilted post. So just kind of fit it. Make sure it's going to sit kind of straight. As you can see, this one might need to shave off a little bit. Also, make sure the tubing you're using has a flat end on the other end as well, so you're not dealing with that. And this one looks like it's pretty flat. Yeah, we're pretty flat, so we don't have to worry about that. So, something else you might want to consider is making sure you've got a fairly long piece of tubing, because you're going to be dealing with super glue, and you don't want to get it all over your fingers and everything too. So, because it'll make trying to get this glued a little harder. So now, take your super glue, put your super glue on your area that you're gluing there. Okay. And make sure when you put your post on, your replacement post, that you're getting it centered really well. So you're not going to have, your body's not going to be off to one side or the other, or maybe a little too far forward. Make sure you're straight up and down as well. Okay. Trying to get this all centered up, so. As you can see, we got a little bit of an angle going here. But you can kind of compensate for that. There we go. That's better. That's a little better anyways. It looks like we're straight up and down that way. So let's let that sit. Let that dry, and we'll come back to that. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is window posts. And as you can see, I've already started to do a little bit of work here replacing these here. This one had this one, this one, this one, and then this back one back here is broke off. This is an old junker body. I bought this off of eBay for the chassis, for the Magna Traction chassis that was under it. So I wasn't really worried about the body. I just wanted another Magna Traction chassis. So some things you can do, as you can see, I'm using plastic rod, 1/16 rod on this to replace these. You can also go with, if you have one, a donor body. Obviously this isn't a donor body, but say you've got a body like this, and as you can see, this car, both the front the front piece and the rear bumpers are separate. So say you've got a body like this that has no issues, or maybe it's one of these like this is gone on the back of it, or the fender's all broke up or something, but it's got good window posts. You could take parts off your donor body and replace your posts with that. Or you can do what we're doing here and completely replace the post with either post or plastic styrene. Now we're going to try and replace this back piece because it's a flat, as you can see here, it's a flat piece on this side. It's pretty flat, so if we put a round piece of tubing in there, it's going to look funky. So I'm using, for this demo, I'm using 0.5 sheet plastic styrene, but you probably may want to go heavier than that just to keep it from flexing and bending. Yeah, this is the side I was cutting. And as you can see, especially if you got another side here, you can line your piece of plastic up to make sure you're getting the right size comparison. So when you go over here to this side, it's pretty close. I think we still need to trim this just a little bit. To make it easier. And then just take your piece and go back over to the side you're trying to replace. Definitely want a body, you don't want a body where your roof is completely off, because trying to replace your pieces, unless you've got a good body, another body like the one you're working on to go off your piece sizes with. And then just kind of size it up, make sure it fits. And then we're going to have to cut this. So let's... And it's probably always good to cut your pieces bigger than what you need, so you can go back and kind of size it up. And then you can just cut a little bit off at a time to cut and fit. Thought I'd work on my cutting mat here today to make it a little easier to work with. Having one of these comes in really handy too, a pair of hobby tweezers that you don't have to continuously hold a piece. You can take it and put it down and size your piece and see how much more you need to trim off. Getting old sucks, you know that? I'm probably going to have to get me one of those lighted magnifying things here before too much longer. Keep trimming your... Whoop! Come back here. Keep trimming your piece till you get it fairly close to the length you need. And I've already kind of grinded some of this off and made this piece a little more area to where it'll be a little flatter. Put a little bit of glue. Don't want to go overboard on your glue. Now this is where things are going to get kind of dicey here. Trying to get this piece set. To make it look right. This can be a delicate chore trying to get this replaced here. As you can see, it's not easy. It's going to take some time, going to take some patience. get it set. Let's see, that doesn't quite look right. Let's cut. Something else you can do too is you can go underneath the bottom side . Go underneath the bottom side and put a piece of plastic underneath here from here to here. See, we go from your 2 points, and then just putty in the post that you're working on and grind it down and make it fit that way as well, which might be the best option for this piece right here. I can just get it in there. That's not too bad. As you can see, we got it in there. Not quite as big as the other side, but we can do some putty work and whatnot to make that, you know, a little better. So now let's see what we do. We're going to replace this upper post here with our rod. Basically what you want to do is you want to grind your piece down here. As you can see, this bottom one is basically just the piece of the post left there. So I'm going to kind of grind this down. Get that little burr off of there. And then that post looks like it's pretty much flat. Let's see. Grind this little piece. I've already got one little piece cut here. I want to see if this is gonna be big enough. Well, since this one's already cut, I'm gonna make this side look like the other side. So we're gonna grind this off. To make it look like the other side. So when we put this post in, okay, looks like that might work. So let's put some glue down. Oop. Get back up here. Alright, I hate it when the tweezers want to do that. Okay. Put this post right. Really? You're gonna be that obnoxious, huh? There we go. Oop. See if we can push. Sure, I'm in camera here. Gotta remember I'm back on the phone and not on the GoPro. The phone doesn't see as wide of a path as the GoPro does. As you can see, this is the kind of problem you have. I had this trouble with these other posts, so it's not easy. Where'd it go? There it is. It's not an easy task, and you gotta have patience. Dang it. Okay. I'm going to go off camera here for a minute and see if I can't get this, so hold on. Alright, we're back. There you go. Took me a little bit, but we got it in there. Actually, we were doing this side. So, as you can see from the front, doesn't look that bad. So, pretty good, pretty good. I'm still working on my technique, but it's getting there. As you can see, our back piece fell off. I think what I'm going to do is we'll kind of continue with this next week, next episode. I think what I'm going to do here is we'll do this on camera. I'll put a piece of plastic underneath it here next week, or within the next 2 weeks, and we'll putty this in. I've got some putty, so we'll do some putty work on this. We'll let these posts dry. I'll make sure they're glued. The roof looks pretty straight from side to side, so we'll let this sit and we'll come back to that. So let's take a look at our post here. Looks like it's pretty good. So first off, we're just going to take the Dremel, cut it down just a little bit to the point where we can get it to where we're not, going to ding the body or anything. And then come back in with our hacksaw here and with our hobby saw. Another thing you can do is you can do like what we did with the wheel, like when we cut off. You know what? I think that's what we're going to do because it's just going to be easier. Come back in with our grinding wheel here and grind it off. Get it down to the point where we want it. Make sure you have a chassis nearby so you can kind of make your fits and whatnot. As you can see, we might have done this a tad bit too low. So you can see it's like right on the thing. We need it a little bit bigger. But you guys know the issue. And then kind of see where when you grind, you leave a little bit of that plastic there. Just leave that there. That'll help with threading. Where'd my screw go I had here? Here it is. Come here. And just get your screw here. You might have to take out just a little bit of this flashing that gets into the tube when you're doing your grinding, when you're getting it down to your point that you want. Sometimes this is a little harder than it looks. Trying to get this screw restarted here. Sometimes it helps too if you put it on if we put it on here, if we put it on a chassis. It'll give you the chassis hole there to work with. Whoop. Come on. Might help if I put the screwdriver down. There we are. Son of a... We'll get this on here yet. There we go. And I might have to move your chassis around a little bit to make sure the holes are lining up. Love how things go sometimes. There we go. You want to make sure you want to go slow, so you're not gonna. And sometimes that happens, but that's okay, because you'll just leave that on there. Take some glue again. Probably didn't let it sit long enough. This is, I mean, I'm trying to do a video here for you guys, and it, you know, sometimes you should wait like a day or so after you put that, after you glue that on there to make sure it works. So we're just going to glue that on there, and we're going to let it sit. We'll let that sit. And we will come back to that. Get my phone set back up here. We'll come back to that in 2 weeks. So we'll do some more restoration work here. We'll let this one dry. We'll take another look at this, and we'll do some putty work back here. That piece didn't want to stay, and I didn't like the way it looked anyway, so we'll try another technique. We'll put a piece of plastic underneath here from top to top and connect them, and then we'll put some putty in there and make it look really nice. So, hope you guys got a little bit out of that. It's tedious work. Sorry about the hand. It's a tedious work, but and I'm just learning myself on this. I haven't done a whole lot of post restorations on my cars, so most of mine has been with screw posts, so I haven't really done a whole lot with the other stuff, so I'm still kind of learning myself, so bear with me on that. So, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Let me know about the die-cast thing, and keep it up. Keep hitting that like button. Keep hitting that subscribe button if you guys haven't subscribed. I love you guys. I love this hobby, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks where we'll look a little more at a little more of the restoration kind of work. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.